Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert, and we're going to keep working through Unit 4. So our note sheet today is really a lot of what we did yesterday. There's just going to be a little bit more complex of an example. So if you're not understanding yesterday, I want to make sure you get a full grasp on that before you move on. So if you need to work with me or if you just need to work on your homework a little bit more, make sure you have homework 2 or learning target 2 completely understood before you move on to this note video. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the basic examples that we did yesterday. So yesterday we learned about factoring by grouping. So we made this into 2 groups. Okay, so we took a GCF first out of the first group. Well, 2 and 5, the only thing that divides 2 and 5 is 1, so I'm going to write 1. Between x squared and x to the first, we want to take out our smallest exponent of x's, which is x to the first. So I'm dividing each of these terms by x. So 2 divided by 1 is 2. X squared divided by x to the first is just x. Then we have 5 divided by 1 is just 5, and then x's over x's are going to cancel. Next, we want to take a look at 8 and 20. So if you're still not understanding how to figure out which divides which, make sure you're using that multiplication chart. So we need to figure out what divides 8 and 20. Well, what divides 8 and 20 is going to be 4. So each of these are going to be divisible by 4, and we can't take out an x because there's no x in that second term. Well, 8 divided by 4 is going to give us 2, and then we have x, and 20 divided by 4 is going to give us 5. So we have 2x plus 5 and 2x plus 5. So we're going to write out 2x plus 5. And because our leftovers are matching, we can go ahead and pull those out. And then we're going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 4. So we get 2x plus 5 times x plus 4 as our final answer for number 1. Let's take a look at number 2. So for number 2, we're going to factor that by grouping. Between 6 and 3, we can take out a 3, and we can also take out an x to the first because that's our smallest exponent in that group. So we're going to divide each of these terms by 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X squared over x is just 1. 3x over 3x is going to give us 1. Next, 12 and 6, we can divide both of those by 6. So now I'm taking and dividing each term by 6. Again, not taking out an x because there's no x in that last term. 12 divided by 6 is 2, and then we have x, and 6 over 6 is 1. So we have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1 that are matching. So I can factor out 2x plus 1. So once I get that factored out, I'm going to write what's left after that. So I notice the terms that I have left are 3x plus 6. So I'm going to write those out. 3x plus 6. So this right here is our final answer for number 2. So the biggest thing you need to know about this one is that even if there's larger exponents, you can still do the same thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have 12 and 6 in the first, and 14 and 7 in the second. So taking a look at that first group. Well, what divides 12 and 6? Well, that's going to be 6. Then I have x cubed and x squared. So my smallest number of exponents is x squared. So now I'm going to go ahead and divide each of those terms in the first group by 6x squared. Well, 12 divided by 6 is 2. X cubed divided by x squared just gives you x. 6 divided by 6 is going to be 1, and x squared over x squared is also going to be 1. Remember, if things cancel out completely, that doesn't mean they equal 1. Or 0, I mean. That means they equal 1 if they cancel out completely. Next, we have 14 and 7. So 7 divides 14 and 7, and we can't take out an x because there's no x at the bottom. So now we're dividing each term by 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and then you have x. 7 over 7 is 1. So we have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. So we're going to go ahead and write that out first. So we have 2x plus 1 in our first group. Out of our second group, okay, that's what's left over. We have 6x squared plus 7. So we have 2x plus 1 times 6x squared plus 7. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Same thing. So if you're starting to get the hang of this, you can stop doing the video and complete the note sheet on your own, or you can keep doing it with the video, whatever works for you. So between 8 and 64, we can divide out an 8 and an x squared. And then when we divide 8x squared, again, we can take out an x squared because that is our smallest exponent. 8 divided by 8 is 1. X cubed divided by x squared is going to leave me x. Negative 64 divided by 8 is 8. And then x squared over x squared cancels. Well, here I have x minus 8. X and 8 don't have a GCF, so I'm just dividing out a plus 1. So each of those terms divided by 1, well, that's just going to leave me x minus 8. Remember, even though that has a 1 in front, both of those are still matching. So we're going to write this as x minus 8. So we're going to cross those out because they're leftovers and they're matching. And then we're going to write what's left after that, which is 8x squared plus 1. So we have 8x squared plus 1 and x minus 8. So this right here is the final answer for number 4. Let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, we again want to factor by grouping. So we're going to make our two groups between 12 and 21. Okay, so we're thinking of all the things that multiply to 12 and 21, and you can take out a 3. Between x cubed and x squared, you can take out an x squared. So then we're going to take and divide each term by 3x squared. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. X cubed divided by x squared, subtract those exponents, and you're just left with x. Negative 21 divided by 3 is 7. And x squared over x squared is going to cancel out. So next we want to figure out what goes into 28 and 49. And that's going to be 7. So I'm going to write plus 7 on the outside. So 28 and 49 are divisible by 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4, and then we have x. Negative 49 divided by 7 is negative 7. So I notice that I have 4x minus 7 that are matching. So we can go ahead and just write that out and cross that off. And then we have 3x squared plus 7. So 4x minus 7 and 3x squared plus 7. Let's take a look at number 6. So for number 6, we're going to factor by grouping. Between 2x cubed plus 2x squared, we get 2. Between x cubed and x squared, we're going to take out x squared because that's our smallest exponent. So we're dividing 2x squared by each of these terms. Well, 12 divided by 2 is 6. X cubed divided by x squared is just going to leave you with x. 2 over 2 cancels out. X squared over x squared cancels out. Remember, that cancels out to 1. It doesn't cancel out to 0. Now, I notice there's a negative sign in the middle of the two groups. That means I need to take out a negative GCF. Well, between negative 30 and negative 5, I can take out a 5. So I'm dividing each of these by a negative 5. Negative 30 divided by negative 5 is going to give me 6, and then x. And negative 5 over negative 5 just cancels out to 1. So we have 6x plus 1 and 6x plus 1 that's left over. So I'm going to go ahead and write out those because they're matching. And then after that, I'm going to write what's left over, which is 2x squared minus 5. So this right here is your final answer for number 6. So we're just going to do a couple more here. So let's take a look at number 7. So for number 7, again, we're going to factor that by grouping. So we have our groups. So between 6 and 16, what divides 6 and 16? Well, that's just going to be 2. We have x cubed here, x squared here. So the smallest number of x's is x squared. So now again, I'm dividing each of those terms by 2x squared. Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. And then the x squareds cancel out. Between 21 and 56, you can take out a 7. And then we're going to divide out a 7. And 21 divided by 7 is 3. And then negative 56 divided by 7 is negative 8. So we notice that our leftovers are matching here, so I can go ahead and factor those out into one parenthesis. And then I get rid of those, and I'm going to write what's left after that, which is 2x squared plus 7. Okay, when you write out the leftovers. So that right there is your final answer. Taking a look at number 8. So again, setting up our groups. Between 4 and 12, we can divide out a 4 and an x squared. So I'm dividing each of these terms by 4x squared. And that leaves me with x here. And negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3, and our x squareds are going to cancel. Here, negative sign in the middle of my two groups. So I'm going to take out a negative GCF. Between 5 and 15, I can divide out a 5. So I'm really dividing each of these terms by a negative 5. Negative 5 over negative 5, well, that's going to cancel to x or 1x. 15 divided by negative 5 is a negative 3. So I notice now that my leftovers are matching. So I'm going to write out that x minus 3. And then I'm going to write what's left after that, which is 4x squared minus 5. So this right here is my final answer for number 8. Okay, let's take a look at these last two, and then we're done with this note sheet. Ooh, Christmas colors. Okay, so let's take a look at number 9. So factoring this by grouping. Between 49 and 35, I'm going to divide out a 7, x to the 4th, and x cubed. The smallest number of x's that I have is x to the 3rd. So I'm going to divide each term by 7x to the 3rd. 49 divided by 7 is 7. X to the 4th divided by x to the 3rd is just x. Negative 35 divided by 7 is going to give me negative 5, and those x cubes are going to cancel. Between 56 and 40, I can actually take out 8. So I'm dividing each of these terms by 8. 56 divided by 8 is 7. Negative 40 divided by 8 is 5. So I check, awesome, my leftovers are matching. So I'm going to write them as one parenthesis. And once I take them out, I'm going to write what's left after that. So then I have 7x cubed plus 8. So this right here is my final answer for number 9. Yay, last problem. So let's take a look at number 10. So we're going to factor this by grouping. Taking a look at my first group, between 12 and 3, I can take out a 3. X to the 4th and x cubed. The smallest number of x's is x cubed. So now I'm taking and dividing everything by 3x cubed. Well, 12 divided by 3 is 4. X to the 4th divided by x cubed is just going to give me x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X cubed divided by x cubed is 1. So that's just going to leave me with 1. Taking a look at my second group, between 28 and 7, I can take out a 7. And then I'm left with 4x plus 1 when I take out a 7. So 4x plus 1 and 4x plus 1. The leftovers are matching, so I'm going to factor them out. And then I'm going to write what's left after that, which is 3x cubed plus 7. So this right here is your final answer for number 10. That concludes your note video today. Thanks for listening, and show me your note sheet when you're done.